One of the most important things you can do as a new charcoal grill owner is selecting the correct type of fuel. And there's a lot to choose from. Whether you're going to use briquettes or lump charcoal, are you going to be doing a lot of searing or low and slow cooking? And not to mention all of the different brands out there with different performance characteristics. In this video, we're going to be going over briquettes and lump charcoal, and I'm going to be giving you guys the pros and cons of each. I'll also be talking about some general handling, storage, and safety tips along with how to light your charcoal. And I'm going to share with you guys some of my favorite brands and why I think you should be considering them. Let's dive in. So the Kingsford's Originals, the Kingsford's Original Briquettes have always been my favorite go-to briquettes. And it's really because I feel like they're the jack of all trades charcoal. They don't necessarily do something particularly really well, but they do everything pretty well, if that makes any sense. So if you're looking to sear, they do a good job of searing. If you're looking to do some smoking or a longer cook, then they also do a fairly good job at that too. So the Kingsford's Originals, I just feel like are a good starting point. So what's the difference between charcoal briquettes and let's say like lump charcoal? Well, the briquettes, like I said, they're more designed for the jack of all trades type of grilling. You might want to sear or you might want to do low and slow. They're a good middle ground. Lump charcoal traditionally, okay, I'm talking about traditional stuff, is mainly for high heat cooking, high heat searing, something that's quick and fast and you really want to get a lot of heat out of it. But with that being said, both of them, lump charcoal or briquettes, there are specialty, brands or specialty variations of them that are designed for very specific things. For example, lump charcoal, again, traditionally, they burn quick, they burn fast, they burn hot. But there are manufacturers out there that will make a specialty brand or specialty signature that's designed for low and slow and for longer durations while still keeping that high heat cooking. The best advice that I can give you is go out there and try many different brands and figure out what you like. Okay, now what are some brands that I've personally tried that I can give you guys my 2 cents on? Again, Kingsford's Originals, tried and true, I love them. Kingsford's Professionals, I've also tried them, they're really good as well. I've heard they do a great job at searing, I've heard that you can do longer, slower cooks, and they're a little bit more easier to manage. But that's basically it for me when it comes to the briquettes. I really like Kingsford's, they do it really well. I stick to that because they're tried and true. Let's talk about lump charcoal. The first brand that I want to talk about that you'll probably find at Home Depot or your local hardware store is Royal Oak. Royal Oak is actually pretty good, but it's a little bit hit and miss. Sometimes I get a bag that has really nice, large pieces and it works really well. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get a bag that has like broken pieces, a lot of small pieces, and for whatever reason, it's not consistent. And I think that has a lot to do with the store that you're buying it from. I really inspect the bags now. I make sure that they're not crushed or, during handling, maybe the workers stack some stuff on top of it and really destroy that. And that kind of goes true for all the brands that I'm talking about. I feel like Royal Oak is more of a traditional lump charcoal, brand. And of course, Royal Oak has many variations of their lump charcoal. But I'm talking about the most popular one, the red bag. And I think it's their 100% hardwood lump charcoal. It's really good for high heat searing, but it burns really quick. And it's not necessarily the best brand for low and slow and so forth. So if you wanted polar opposites of one another, you can get the Kingsford's briquettes and then the Royal Oaks, and you'll have, the jack of all trades, and you'll have high heat searing. The next brand that I want to talk about is actually called the Cowboy Brand. And there's variations of this one too, but you'll usually see cowboy text, big font, and then there's usually somebody on a horse with a hat, a cowboy, as their brand, as their logo. There's a lot of different flavors. You can get oak and hickory, hardwood, a lot of different variations. This brand is really inconsistent for me. I've bought this brand several times from the store and it's really hit and miss. I mean, there's times when it works fantastic and I really love it and it's giving me high heat searing or it's even lasting longer than expected. And there's other times that it's just not working that way at all. And I don't know why. Maybe I've just had bad luck. It's not very common here in California. So maybe we're getting like secondhand bags, or I don't know, there's a quality control issue. I know it has a huge following, especially I think in Texas. A lot of people out there seem to have really good luck with it and swear by it. I mean, that's just my personal experience with it. I kind of stay away from it. I've tried it several times and it's just always disappointed me. But that's a really good brand to consider and try out. Okay, another one that's really popular and I actually really like it is B&B. B&B is incredibly hard to get in California. I usually have to buy it from the manufacturer directly or Amazon or something, but it's fantastic. Every single time I've used B&B, it's been consistent. You get nice large pieces. It actually has a good duration. I feel like for lump charcoal, surprisingly, it lasts a pretty long time. And I feel like it's been consistent bag to bag, at least the bags that I've been able to get my hands on. So B&B is a great lump charcoal brand, and I really do recommend you give it a try for yourself. It's fairly expensive, not too expensive, but it's fairly expensive. You can usually find a 20-pound bag for around $18 to $20, and it's readily available at Ace Hardware, but not in California. But if you do have an Ace Hardware and you don't live in California, you probably have a good chance of finding B&B. Okay, the next brand that I want to talk about, and it's probably my favorite lump charcoal, is FOGO. FOGO has been the most consistent lump charcoal that I've ever bought. And I really do mean that. I've never had a bad batch. You always get nice large whole sizes and it burns really clean. It burns really hot and you can stretch it if you need to. If you want to do low and slow, you can. So if you want to do high heat searing, it does that. If you want to do longer durations of cooking, it does that. I know a lot of competition users swear by FOGO and B&B. And I can see why. Those are probably the two most consistent brands. But there's a big problem with FOGO, especially in California. It's extremely hard to get and it's really expensive. So I actually found a deal on Amazon, one of those subscribe and save deals that you can do, and I was blown away because when I saw it, I jumped on it. They were selling the 20-pound bag and you had to subscribe so you can get it monthly or, bi-monthly or whatever. And it was going for $20. And I thought that was fantastic. So I did that. I subscribed and I got about 3 months out of it before they canceled my subscription. FOGO or whoever was selling it, Amazon, probably realized that it was a really good price because I got an email saying, hey, this is no longer available. And then after like 3 or 4 months of not seeing it sold, it popped back up for like $27.99. Which is about right. I mean, that's usually where I see it at. So that really broke my heart because I was spoiled. I have one more bag left and I'm really picky with how I use it because it's the only bag that I have left and I haven't found it for that price at $20 anymore. That was a really good price. So FOGO's hard to get. If you can find a deal, go for it. FOGO, Kingsfords, B&B, if you guys want to sponsor me, hit me up. I would love to talk. Yeah, that's basically where I stand with the brands. So there's a lot of brands out there. I can't go through all of them. My best advice to you is go check out the brands yourself, purchase a couple different brands, and figure out what you like, because it's really subjective. Okay, so what about charcoal maintenance? And how should you treat your charcoal so you always get the best performance out of it? Well, always make sure you keep your charcoal dry and out of the elements. If you can, buy a dedicated container or a dedicated charcoal bag that's sealable and keep it in there, so you can always have the performance that you're looking for. You don't want your charcoal to ever get wet or be in a moist environment, and then you're basically not gonna get the optimal performance, or it may not even work right, to be honest. The other thing that you can do, which is what I do, try to keep it indoors. I have a dedicated cabinet or a dedicated closet where I keep all my charcoal, all my barbecue woods that I use for smoking in that area, and I try to keep that area really, really dry. And then when you finally do use your charcoal, get in the habit of pouring it out, but avoid touching it, avoid putting your hands in there and contaminating it. I used to make that mistake a lot, and what I found was my hands weren't necessarily dry. Maybe they were wet, or maybe I had just got done seasoning, the meat that I'm gonna grill, and they were dirty, and I'm sticking my hand in there and I'm contaminating the charcoal. I'm adding moisture. If you're like me and you have different variations of charcoal that are not gonna be used all the time, you're kind of adding to that moisture, and eventually that actually builds up, and you will find that certain pieces don't ignite very well. So I got in the habit of pouring out my charcoal. The only advice I would give you is when you get to the end of the bag, and this goes for all charcoal, briquettes, lump charcoal, Be careful when you're pouring things out, because that's usually when you're going to get the really small broken off pieces, and you're going to dump all that in there, and then you're going to get all these little like dust particles and smaller charcoal pieces, and it's going to be a nightmare for your grill, and it's going to be a nightmare to clean it out. So the only time I would recommend not pouring your charcoal out is when you're at the end of the bag, because you don't want those small bits of pieces of dust. It's not pleasant at all. Now, general safety and handling tips: be careful with charcoal. You don't want to inhale it. You don't want to inhale those dust particles. And of course, when it's igniting, that initial ignition is all combustion smoke. So get away from it. Don't inhale that. Don't breathe that stuff in. Make sure you're always igniting charcoal in an outdoor environment. You never want to do it in an indoor environment. Make sure there's plenty of ventilation, and close all your windows, especially when you're first igniting, because that combustion smoke will get into your house and it takes like a week to get rid of it. So generally speaking, be careful around it. Use common sense. So let's talk about igniting your charcoal. I highly recommend a chimney starter. A chimney starter is a really efficient, quick, and safe way to start your charcoal. I generally avoid the charcoal that has the easy ignite or easy ignition system where they basically drench it in chemicals, because those chemicals usually get into your food. You can taste it. A lot of people will tell you, well, that stuff just burns off, right? Once you have fully ignited charcoals, it burns off. Or wait until your charcoal is white and you should be good to go. Well, if you're smoking and you're doing other things or low and slow, not all your charcoal is going to be white, right? Especially if you're doing a snake method. You're going to have charcoal igniting at different stages. So generally, you're not going to be able to burn off all that combustion. So yeah, I've always found, especially when I buy the charcoal that's easy ignite, I can always taste it in my food. And likewise, I don't use lighter fluid. The chimney starter for me is a tried and true method, and it works really, really well. You can also buy specific like heat guns or blow torches that people make now to light charcoal. I've never found those really necessary. I mean, I do use a blowtorch if I'm trying to ignite older charcoal for like a quick meal or something. But if I'm starting with like a fresh cook, I use the chimney starter. When you first light your charcoal, that white smoke that you're seeing, that's combustion smoke. And you don't want that in your food. You don't want that to get into your house. It's very chemically and it lasts for a really long time. You don't want to breathe that stuff in. So how do you know when your charcoal's fully lit? Well, I've made several videos on the subject. You can go watch some of my short videos. I actually have one on lighting your charcoal with the chimney starter, and I actually have one lighting your charcoal without a chimney starter or without any lighter fluid. And then I also have a couple of videos discussing good smoke versus bad smoke. But as a really quick overview, when your charcoal is igniting, you're going to see white smoke first, then gray smoke, and then you'll see a light blue smoke. When you see a light blue smoke, you know that your charcoal is ready. And of course, when your charcoals are ashed over and they're white, your charcoals are firing on all cylinders, or when you see a deeper blue. Now, this is a general rule of thumb. It doesn't work for all the charcoal brands out there. I know there's other charcoals out there that act or behave differently, and those are competition charcoals, and that's really up to you to do your homework on that. This is basically a general rule of thumb that should get you started. So what about flavored charcoal? I know there's a couple of charcoal brands out there that will sell you like hickory wood flavored charcoal or like apple or whatever. I personally really like to smoke like actual dedicated lump wood when I do want like that flavoring. So I've never really considered like flavored charcoal. But if it's something that you want to check out and consider, especially while you're trying other brands and different types of charcoal, go for it. There's no general rule. And actually, if you want to, check out the easy light brands and figure out for yourself if you can taste it in your food and if that's an issue or not. Okay, so that's basically it for me, guys. Try out the different brands, try out different types of charcoal, and figure out what you like for the food that you're trying to cook. Your favorite charcoal may be a brand that I didn't mention here today in this video. There's a lot out there. Or it might be something that I completely disagree with. It's all very subjective. I've had brands that were recommended to me that people really swear by, and they just didn't work that well. And there was brands that I absolutely loved and I recommended to other people, and they either really liked them or hated them. And likewise, sometimes you may get inconsistent bags or a bad batch. So try it more than once. Try a brand or a specific type of charcoal more than once before you rule it out. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative. Check out some of my other videos, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Hey, everybody. How'd you guys like that last video? Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified on my next video. And if you can, please share with your family and friends. I would really appreciate it. Here's some more content that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. Check them out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Take care.